Greetings, guys. I trust you are doing great wherever you are. If you are not, I wish you all the best. If you are going through things in life, I wish you still the best. Let's hold each other's hands and march forward together and pray about these things that we are going through in life. Let's dive into this one important thing. Today, guys, is the 16th of June, 2026. Today marks the 50th commemoration of the 16th of June of 1976. Guys, you may wonder why this day, why so many people seem to be commemorating this day, why there is so much about this day, and so many events are taking place in this day. Why is this youth seem to be special this day? Guys, this day has its own root, and we need to dig deeper into it and understand it and be reasonable enough in whatever things or whatever we comment about when it comes to this day and its importance. Like you and I, we were not born in 1976. And as we were not born in 1976, we know nothing or we don't know much about 1976 incident. But, this day has its vast history, vast memories, because of it, we are this youth we are today. And we are so grateful for those who fought and did not, were not discouraged. They stood their ground in a toughest time. Let's us be brief about this so that we can dive into this. Guys, I truly appreciate your support and thank you very much for your support. And indeed, your support means a lot from me. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart and I thank you. I'll keep on supporting, liking, subscribing, and commenting. Yes, comments, guys, are greatest important for me because I get to know what you think about the content that I'm busy building. And thank you very much for this time. Thank you for tuning in. But I want us to dive into this one important day because we celebrated many days, we celebrated many holidays, but this day seems to be celebrated in a very, very unique way. As it is celebrated in a unique way, some feel it's okay to celebrate it, but not knowing or don't even have a background about it. But let's dive into it as it is documented in many, many things. Let's dive into this one thing that seems to be important. Let's go, guys. Black South African high school students in Soweto protested against medium decree of 1974, which forced all black schools to use Afrikaans and English in equal terms as languages of instruction. The association of Afrikaans with apartheid prompted black South Africans to prefer English. Even the Bantustan regimes choose English and an indigenous African language as official languages. In addition, English was gaining more prominence as the language most often used in commerce and industry. The 1974 decree was intended to force the reverse of the decline of Afrikaans among black Africans. The Afrikaner-dominated government used the clause of the 1909 Union of South Africa Act that recognize only English and Dutch, the latter being replaced by Afrikaans in 1925 as official languages as its pretext. All schools had to provide instruction in both Afrikaans and in English as languages, but white South African students learned other subjects in their home language. The regional director of Bantu Education, Northern Transvaal Region, J.G. Erasmus, told circuit inspectors and principals of schools that from 1 January 1974, Afrikaans had to be used for mathematics, arithmetic, and social studies from Standard 5, which is grade 7. According to the Afrikaans Medium Decree, English would be the medium of instruction for general science and practical subjects. Homecraft, needlework, woodwork, metalwork, art, agricultural science. Indigenous languages would be used on religious instruction, music, and physical culture. The decree was resented deeply by the black population. Desmond Tutu, the Bishop of Lesotho, has stated that Afrikaans was the language of the oppressor, also a teacher of organizations such as the African Teachers Association of South Africa, objected to the decree. Punt Johnson, the Deputy Minister of Bantu Education, was quoted as saying, a black man may be trained to work on a farm or in a factory. He may work for an employer who is either English speaking or Afrikaans speaking. And the man who has to give him instructions may be either English speaking or Afrikaans speaking. Why should we now start quarreling about the medium of instruction among the black people as well? No, I have not consulted them, and I am not going to consult them. I have consulted the Constitution of South Africa, of the Republic of South Africa. A change in language of instruction forced the students to focus on understanding the language instead of the subject material. That made the critical analysis of the content difficult and discouraged critical thinking. The resentment grew until 30 April 1976, when children at Orlando West Junior School in Soweto went on strike and refused to go to school. Their rebellion then spread to many other schools in Soweto. Black South African students protested because they believed that they deserved to be treated and taught like white South Africans. Also, very few people in Soweto spoke Afrikaans. A student from Morris Isaacson High School, Teboho Letsietsi Mashini, proposed a meeting on 13 June 1976 to discuss what should be done. Students formed an action committee, later known as the Soweto Student Representative Council, which organized a peaceful demonstration for June 16. It was planned to pass Orlando West to show solidarity with the students' original strike. Students from different areas within Soweto would then congregate at Orlando Stadium before marching to deliver a memorandum of student grievances to the Department of Bantu Education officers. On the morning of June 16, 1976, between 3,000 and 20,000 black students walked from their schools to Orlando Stadium for a rally to protest having to learn in Afrikaans in school. Many students who later participated in the protest arrived at schools that morning without prior knowledge of the protest but agreed to become involved. This meant many parents were not aware of the intended action. The protest was planned by the Soweto Students Representative Council Action Committee, SSRC, with support from the wider Black consciousness movement. Teachers in Soweto also support the march after the Action Committee emphasized good discipline and peaceful actions. At roughly 8 a.m., Tsietsi Mashini led students from Morris Isaacson's High School to join up with others who walked from Naledi High School. The students began the march only to find out that police had barricaded the road along their intended route. The leader of the Action Committee asked the crowd not to provoke the police, and the march continued on another route and eventually ended up near Orlando High School. The crowd of between 3,000 and 10,000 students made its way towards the area of the school. Students sang and waved placards with slogans such as "Down with Afrikaans," "Viva Azania," and "If we must do Afrikaans, Foster must do Zulu." The police used tear gas, batons, and live ammunition as crowd control. The police trained dogs on the protesters who responded by killing one. The police then began to massacre the group, shooting indiscriminately at the students. Among the first students to be shot dead were 15-year-old Hastings Ndlovu and 12-year-old Hector Peterson, who were shot at Orlando West High School. The photographer, Sam Zimmer, took a photograph of a dying Hector Peterson as he was carried away by Mboyesa Makubo and accompanied by his sister, Antoinette, which became the symbol of the Soweto uprising. The police attacks on the demonstrators continued, and 23 people died on the first day in Soweto. Among them was Melville Edelston, who was a West Rand Administration Board officer, sociologist, and academic, and had devoted his efforts to humanitarian and social welfare projects in Soweto. Serving as Deputy Chief Welfare Officer, Edelston instituted projects aimed at assisting youth, disabled, poor, and marginalized communities within Soweto. He was stoned to death by the mob and left with a sign around his neck proclaiming, quote, "Beware, Afrikaans is the most dangerous drug for our future," close quote. The violence escalated as bottle stores and beer halls, seen as outposts of the apartheid government, were targeted as were the official outposts of the state. The violence had abated by nightfall. Police vans and armored vehicles patrolled the streets throughout the night. Emergency clinics were swarmed with injured and bloody children. The police requested for the hospital to provide a list of all victims with bullet wounds to prosecute them for rioting. The hospital administrator passed the request to the doctors, but the doctors refused to create the list. The doctors recorded bullet wounds as abscesses. 1,500 armed police officers were deployed to Soweto on 17 June carrying weapons including automatic rifles, stun grenades, stun guns, and carbines. They drove around in armored vehicles with helicopters monitoring the area from above. The South African Army was also ordered on standby as a tactical measure to show military force. Crowd control methods used by South African police at the time included mainly dispersement techniques. Hundreds of people were arrested, including Connie Mufokeng, who was tortured for information. The number of people who died in the massacre on June 16 is usually given as 176. The original government figure claimed only 23 students were killed, with the number of wounded estimated to be more than 1,000 people. Black students also killed 2 white people during the uprising. One of them, Melville Stein. The clashes occurred with the South African government was being forced to transform apartheid in international eyes towards a more. I think it is important for us to leave it at that. But as far as we know and understand today, what this June 16 was all about then and what is about now. So it is very important that when we do these celebrations, it is a key to know and understand some contents about the holidays that we are having or the celebrations that we are having, giving the background of it and understanding of it